at
This is Yoon Kim. He's going to tell us how he went from working a retail job with only $200 in his bank account to joining the Navy and making over $100,000, buying his parents a house, meeting many business icons, and becoming a COO for $1 million company. We're going to find out how he did all this, all while active duty Navy, and how you can too. But first, let's get to know him. Could you kind of give yourself a little introduction about yourself?
Nice to meet everybody. My name is Yoon Kim. Before I joined the military, I worked at like Hollister, Abercrombie and Fitch, folding clothes, started my own business, had my own YouTube channel with origami and stuff. I was going to a community college, but I wasn't really a very good student. Failed algebra twice from the same teacher. I was very disappointed at myself. I thought I'd be a lot successful, right, at age 21 and 22, but I was nowhere where I thought I would be after I graduated high school. And I have Asian parents, they're all about like school, get a job and do that for 20 years. And I'm a Korean American immigrant. My parents, they've never owned a house in their whole life. We've always rented like a 750 square foot apartment. And I was like, all right, I got to do something. And so I disguised like, hey, I'm going to join the military. And so let me do that. So they accepted. And I left for boot camp in June 2015 with $200 to my name.
Some people might be wondering, what was your job in the Navy?
I was a supply guy. So I was a logistics specialist. Initially, I wanted to work as a mass communication specialist, working with like taking pictures, videos, media for the military. But my recruiter wasn't a very good recruiter. So he just gave me supply.
Okay. From $200 to $100,000. Did you kind of go into the military thinking like, I'm going to save as much money as possible? Or did it kind of like dawn onto you while you were in the military?
I originally thought I had like a 4-year contract, but then later on I found out it's 4-year plus 1-year extension. So it's 5 years. And then I was like, all right, if I'm going to spend all my 20s in there, if I save at least $1,000 per month for the next, 5 years, I'll have at least like 60 grand. And then maybe I can save like $2,000 as I rank up. So my goal was truly $100,000 within 5 years in the military, with the potential goal of buying a used Lamborghini afterwards.
And then one of your biggest highlights, or to me at least, was buying your parents a home versus. So why did you decide to buy your parents a home versus not buy your Lamborghini?
Yeah, so Lamborghini was definitely like I definitely matured. Right. From a 21 to turning 22-year-old to then 5 years later becoming a 27-year-old. Believe it, like to me, it was a big mindset thing, right? Like I spent 5 years getting to $140,000. Do I want to give my parents $100K for them to buy this house? And I thought about like what my ultimate version would do. It's like my ultimate version would be like, let's buy the house and then we'll just make the cash again later. And so it was super important. I prioritized being able to potentially give back to my parents and also challenge myself to be able to make the money back in a shorter amount of time. So that's kind of how that decision came about.
You said your initial goal was 60K or maybe 70K. So how did you get 100K? What was your strategy on saving that amount of money?
Like 2 years, all I really knew how to do was save money. In my third year, that's when there was a well-known person. His name is Ty Lopez. He started coming out with a course called The Accelerator. It was like $1,000. I joined in there. It really opened my eyes to the world of like potentially investing into other like avenues to generate wealth, whether it's real estate, whether it's investing, whether it's starting your own business. And then I just decided to go with the investing in the stock market route because that's one of the easiest thing for me to do at the time. And then I just happened to learn the right things at the right time. And that's when like Tesla was kind of pretty low. That's when Facebook, like, oh, they're selling our data and the Facebook price tanked. And that's when I really invested a lot of money at that time, which then really helped me cross the $100,000 line.
Okay, wow. And then could you share what you do before you invest in a particular stock?
Yeah. So what I do particularly, there's what's called a 10K annual report and quarterly report and webcasts where the CEO comes in and talks about it. Like you'll come to find out Disney, like 40% of their money comes from parks, 40% of their money comes from like advertisements. And they have like 7 or 8, whatever news stations. And they own like a bit of DraftKings, a bit of Vice News, a bit of just bunch of different things. like National Geographic, Star Wars, and all that. Like, it's truly understanding a company as if it was your own, as if you were running the company, and the money that you're investing into this is kind of how I look at it. It's like, I'm the guy with the money and all these companies need my money. So I'm going to do my due diligence to interview them, because if I make the wrong call, I lose a lot of money or my money stays stagnant. And so I'm going to do the best that I can to truly understand.
Would you say you're a long-term investor versus short-term? What's your whole ideal on that? Or option trading? What's your whole prowess on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've met many people that made a lot of money with options, swings, etc. And I'm sure you can make money with crypto and all that kind of platform. But for me, I don't want to risk my money at all. And if I want to like make a lot of money, I want to make a lot of money safely. I want to make a lot of money predictably. I never want to have this like where I just look at my phone like every 5 minutes to see what the price is doing. Because if I want to invest like $10,000 into something, like I know they're going to do good. I trust them.
So you think investing in courses and mentors, do you think that's worth it?
Yep.
And then, so how did you feel like when you saw 100K in your freaking bank account, man? Because I feel like this goal you've been wanting for X amount of years and you finally freaking have it. What was the emotions going through your mind, man?
I already saw the number way before I actually hit the number. I've calculated all these different variables. Like, okay, if I save $1,000, what if I save $1,500? What if I invest that with that 10%, 20%? I remember I was in Hawaii actually when I crossed my 100K mark. So the only thing that I did was just get a nice steak at Ruby Tuesdays at the Pearl Harbor area.
I got you. Nah, that's dope. So pretty much like, although you had $200 in your bank account, you knew you were going to have 100K at one point in time. So that's awesome, man. If you guys found value out of this video so far, definitely leave a like if you haven't already. And comment down below how you want the military to benefit your life. You know, describe your Navy experience, describe your Navy career. Are you happy looking back at it? Things you would have done, things you didn't like, you know what I'm saying?
So anybody can see the 5 years of my Navy career on the YouTube channel. And if you see those videos, it's me basically complaining. And it really broke me down. And, you know, there were many times where I was crying, I was stressed, I was thinking about quitting the military. At that time, I failed my physical fitness test twice and they would kick me out. Thought about that. I was very close, but, you know, I had some good people at the time to guide me in the right direction. Didn't do that.
What kind of like stuff was kind of stressing you out?
People in the civilian world, if you don't like somebody, just don't interact with them. But in the military, like Aaron, you and I both know, you're stuck with these guys for years, right? So if you get into an argument, you can argue, but it tampers that relationship, not just for that moment, but for years. Some people are very good, but some people are not, which goes into the second thing is you don't really have a choice. And so for me, I've always been entrepreneurial. Right. I've always been the person that just kind of wants to do their own thing, and not to have that choice was I always felt like I had a weighted vest on. I couldn't excel because of this weighted vest.
You were in the Navy for 8 years, and then what rank were you?
Yeah, so I was in the Navy for 8 years, and I came in as E1. So at my 4-year mark, I hit E5. And I just decided like E5 is perfect. I don't have any ambitions to go higher. That's just how I'm going to write it out.
What ship was it? And like, because people are going to look it up and stuff like that.
Yep. So I was on board the USS Abraham Lincoln.
And then for somebody, you know, not familiar with the Navy, could you give me like a day in the life as a sailor? Like, what would a day in the life entail?
Yeah, I would say a day in the life would be at sea. You wake up at like right about 6 o'clock, 6 in the morning. And then you get ready with like in a room. Share a bathroom with like, depending on maybe about 50 people.
50 people?
Yeah. Because there's like 20 sinks, 20 sinks and like 10 showers. So you share with like 50 people, and then you get ready, muster up at 7. They put out their plan of the day. And at about 7:30 to like 8:30, you clean for an hour. So cleaning stations, and I'm sure in the Army too, is huge. But so is the Navy, because you know the rats, the ships, and all that kind of stuff. And then basically you do your job, depending on what your job is. You do your job for, you know, within, let's say, an 8-hour workday. You do it maybe 6 hours, and the other 2 hours are just kind of waiting around doing some idle things.
Did you kind of plan on doing 8 years, or it was just like something I might as well just stick it out?
Yeah, so because I had a 4 year plus one, so it's a 5 year contract. Initially, my plan was to just do 5 and get out, because at that time I had like a little bit over 100K. So I had the choice. But there was an E6 that I really trusted and I valued their opinion, because they were a very good, mentor. She recommended like, hey, if you're going to, suffer through the sea life of being a sailor, and it's called a seashore rotation. I'm sure you have a similar term in the Army. You're better off finishing out your career on a shore command on land somewhere where it's going to be easy. It's going to be chill.
What do you do now, man?
So I was in my aircraft carrier from 2015 to 2020. And then I went to Patuxent River, Maryland. And then I gave my parents 100K. I had right about 40K left. And I decided to start going into investing pretty heavily. And there was a YouTuber that I found, and I gave him like $7,500 to learn one-on-one mentorship with him, because he was a multimillionaire investor. And then he also needed salespeople for his company. And so I learned how to invest from him. And then I also got to enroll and help his community with sales to be able to enroll more students. And then that's how I was exposed to the online entrepreneurship sales world. And then I met some good people along the way. I was able to network with some other entrepreneurs at that time. And then I was able to go into another company as their sales manager. And then eventually, along with some of my mentors that I had at the time, they started a company called closedeals.com. And we started in July 2022. And then, we ended our first year in July 2023. And we basically locked in right about $2.5 million. And I was the chief operating officer, or I'm still the chief operating officer. So I was able to do that all the while still active duty in the military.
And so, chief operating officer, how did you manage your time? How did that work between, you and being active duty Navy?
So, like I said, I was able to pick a pretty chill spot in terms of like where I went for my shore command. So it didn't really need a lot of my attention. Maybe within an 8-hour workday, it only required right about 3 hours. So I still had like other 5 hours pretty free. So I really didn't have any other like social life. I didn't really do anything else other than just wake up. I worked nights over there. So I wake up, have meetings with my team, do all the business stuff, take sales calls, meetings with clients, and then go to work. Make sure all my work stuff is taken care of. And towards the evening, I just take care of the admin stuff for the business. And so I just grinded that out for the last year.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And then you said you do have your own business too?
Yep. So from the very beginning of my YouTube channel, in the beginning, I just wanted to share my journey of how I went from like $200 to $100,000. But I can see from creating content, people ask me questions all the time. Like there are a lot of people that are just kind of lost in the sauce. Yeah. So the best way to get connected is just follow my YouTube channel, which is Mr. Yoon Kim. And I help young military entrepreneurs achieve their goal.
I got you. And so that's a perfect segue for, any military service member watching this. What's your advice to do what you did to get that 100K? What's your advice to somebody watching this that's in the military?
Yeah, I would say my biggest advice is whatever it is that you want to accomplish within your time in the military, just get super crystal clear on it. There's an exercise that I did called 7 layers deep. It's like, ask, why is this important 7 times? It's like, cool, I'm going to join the military. Why is this important? Well, I want to join the military because I want to provide for my family. Why is that important? And just do it 7 times until it gets to the point where you get emotional and you start crying and you start shedding tears. Because if you're not emotionally attached to the goal that you say you want to accomplish, it's going to be very hard to be able to overcome the challenges that come your way that's going to stray you from your path. Instead of like helping the family, as you say you are, you're just going to buy like Louis Vuitton and Gucci bags. And it's just going to steer, and it's going to take longer to actually provide for the family. And I've seen so many sailors that tell me they're like, oh, I want to be able to help my family. But like 6 years later, 7 years later, they're just partying. So just be very aligned emotionally with the goal that you want. and figure out how you can accomplish that within the military. And so I wish people spent more time knowing themselves, investing into themselves and trusting themselves and betting on themselves more compared to betting on the stock market or the real estate that you don't really understand what's going to happen.
Would you recommend joining the military? Would you recommend the Navy?
I would say I recommend joining the military if you are looking to challenge yourself and you're looking to expose yourself as to who you are at the core. If you join the military to be super rich and make a lot of money and have a lot of real estate properties, it's not the vehicle for you. It's not the thing. It's going to make you miserable. If you want to grow and become the best, strongest version of yourself, with that intention, I would say yes.
Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, man?
5 years from now, I'll be financially free.
If you guys liked the video, if you guys found value out of the video, definitely like the video. If you haven't already, comment down below how you want the military to benefit you. Also, subscribe to Yoon Kim's YouTube channel. He literally is documenting his whole process and how he got to this point so far. And definitely join the Discord and connect with other like-minded individuals just like you who want to join the military or who are already in the military, previously in the military, and talk and chat it up. But without further ado, watch my other videos.